Games. Board games in classrooms, it's what we're talking about. Board games in classrooms, but we're not gonna shout. There is Faranak over there. Faranak has lovely hair. So do I, but that's besides the point. But we're going to now anoint the topic of the conversation speak games in classrooms. And I will start talking and stop singing before I lead us all to doom. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. 10 a.m. is UK time, time for Busy Beats and Boards in Blether. And today, oh, I need to do a bit of copy pasting, but we are talking about games in classrooms. And thank you for joining me for this conversation, Faranak.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
I think you can sort of tell the difference in temperature of where we are by our clothes. I mean, you've got the kind of low neckline, something that looks fairly thin. I've got like this
Yeah,
thick jumper with like um my hair stuffed into it, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'm just going to stay warmer that way, and layers underneath. I mean,
yeah.
it's
Now I got aircon on here.
and you still have like, but yeah, let us know what it's like over there. I mean, what have you been up to over the past day? What are some of your recent highlights? Recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. What have you been up to? What has everyone been up to?
During the last days, actually past days, sorry. I stayed at home. We had a long holiday, and because my husband got cold, we didn't go anywhere. I just was cooking, and we played some video games. It's good actually. We played some games that we needed to play together. I'm really slow in computer games, and especially when I want to set the camera, I always take the camera to somewhere that it's really
Mm-mm-mm.
useless. So, uh,
A quick hello to Bodie, who I assume is in the Netherlands. I mean, I don't know, you might have moved, but I hope you're generally well. But do you play video games? Which one? And Faradak, which video games were you playing together?
uh, the name of it, if I don't make mistake, is It Takes Two.
Okay.
It's about it's a story about a couple, actually parents who want to divorce, and their daughter uh, doesn't want them to divorce, so she tries to keep them in a story, and they have to pass some challenges together, and they take some lessons to build their relationship. It's interesting. It's not bad. It's good for couples. You need to play it with two players. I don't hear
And
you.
I managed to just get a video of it playing, I think. So um, it looks like there's a lot of story going on, and there's some mini games where it's kind of like party games in the middle.
Yeah, no, they have some missions, and they need to pass. For example, uh, in one story, uh, the vacuum cleaner said that you didn't fix me for a while, and he got angry and made some obstacles for them, and they have to pass them and fix the vacuum cleaner. It's nice. These two
Mhm.
characters are made by their daughter, and the book gives them um, some things to follow and gives them some ways to build their relationship. It's better to say.
I mean, it looks very arcade style in the missions, and it kind of feels like Yeah, what did you think about this? Who would you recommend it to?
To couples. Actually, it's interesting, with whoever that you can play and finish it. It's nice, but it's better to play with a partner that you're always together. So you find some times to play together, or with someone who you can find them to play, because it's not a short game. We played for
Mm-mm-mm.
3 or 4 days, and still we couldn't pass 10% of it.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
a
these
lot of
parts
video.
are spoiled for me. I haven't passed these parts yet.
Would you like me to take off the screen then?
No, it's
I
okay,
mean,
no
I don't
problem.
know how people feel about spoilers. I feel like, um, you know, by J. Bodie says, I am still in Netherlands. It's quite chilly here. Yeah, I know that feeling. I'm looking forward to the. I checked, and I think in Bangkok it's not too hot. It's like 29 degrees.
Yeah, today was a bit cool. I have a motorbike, and today that I was going to the work, I didn't like to wear my jacket. Uh, it was cool, I liked it, but uh, I didn't like to put my helmet even,
Mm-mm-mm.
but I had to do it.
Now, for those who haven't seen you before, because we had a chat, but not everyone watches every episode, of course, you are a teacher, you're teaching in Bangkok, you recently moved to teach secondary school. And what's that like? How is a typical day in your life as a teacher?
Every day is different, it depends on my mood and my students' mood as well. Uh, I always taught primary level, mostly primary level, and for half a year I taught to kindergarten. I really, for me, teaching to little kids was very scary and challenging. But I like this level. I like secondary level.
Mm,
It's good that the students like to speak with the teachers, and they're so kind. Especially this is school that I'm working in. They are really respectful. I enjoy working with them. But uh, one thing that I always stay on is always asking the students' opinion, and they are free
mm.
to tell me whatever that they think. It's a bit unusual in Bangkok, in Thailand, in Thai culture mostly.
Okay, so normally in Thai cultures, are children kind of seen and not heard? Kind of like Victorian England.
Maybe actually, uh, during these years, I experienced different things. I taught to two different. It's better to say three different levels. Um, I worked with three different levels of students, and I think that most of them uh, don't complain, whatever that hurts them. They don't say anything. They just follow the teacher. They just listen. Actually, not with foreign teachers, but mostly with their Thai teachers. They are all ears. Maybe they don't speak at all. They don't ask questions. And one
Mm.
hard job for us is to helping them to feel free to ask questions.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have a sense of curiosity and empowerment. And when we get to the idea of why we would use games in schools, I think that having an activity, because games are all about agency and freedom and your own autonomy to some extent. So I think that if you are getting people to do like something creative, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a game, but even like a writing exercise, something that it's not just maths or write this essay, write 100 word, like it's like write what you want. And I actually remember one time as a child, as a punishment, someone said to me that I had to write, I think, 1,000 words about something I was interested in, which was a really strange punishment, right? But I think the point was like it felt like, oh, are they actually going to read this? And I still don't know, to be honest. I mean, I guess if I was a teacher looking back, they were probably curious enough to have a skim through it, I guess. But yeah, it's really important to have people be empowered. And when you ask people questions, I think games feed into that. When I have people at my stand, I was talking the other day about what makes a good demo. And I think that as a demonstrator, at the end of it, after every few minutes, or even after every few minutes, I want to check, hey, would you like to keep playing? Because games, you should have the freedom to stop and the freedom to keep playing. It should be like some kind of optional thing. And especially if it's done as a hobby, and no one should feel trapped at the stand. And afterwards, I always ask, what did you think? Both for me, because that's good information for me to know what people think of my stuff. And sure, if they say, oh, I really like it, then I can tell them how much it costs and that they should buy it. But also because, yeah, it's nice to have that human connection and that opportunity for someone to have their turn to genuinely speak in an unguided, well, in a gently guided manner, let's say.
Yes, that's right. Um, you know, when you want to play with the students, with children, per se, uh, you should be very careful. No, I always scared if I put them in stress and make them nervous. Sometimes I apply something that is very strange to them, and they like really simple things. And their favorite game is Uno, and Uno to me is very simple. And they like card games, very simple card games. And when I bring something to them, I feel like, especially the first time, is uh, maybe too complicated for them or strange for them. Um, I try to simplify them as much as I can.
Mm.
And after that, I ask them if they enjoy. Most of them say yes, but today they didn't want to continue after the first round. They said yes, they enjoyed, but
I mean,
they didn't
sometimes
like
there
it.
is actually truth in that because sometimes it's a case of, yes, I enjoyed it, but I kind of feel done now. Sometimes people just feel tired or exhausted, or, okay, now my attention for that particular thing has moved on. Like at my, again, going back to my stand, if I ask someone, oh, okay, would you like to play that again, or would you like to try something totally different? And quite often people are like, oh yeah, I'd like to try something different. And it doesn't mean that they didn't enjoy my games. If they didn't enjoy my games, they wouldn't want to stay there playing with me. But because I've got something that's also simple, that's also very different, they can feel like they're getting a variety of experiences. And I think that's also a human desire that every so often we want to just, okay, well, I've been doing this thing for a while now. I better do something a bit different, right?
Yes, maybe it can be, but it's good when I see their reaction. I see them laughing and enjoying the game. It's good.
Mm-mm-mm.
I think that it's working. Yes, but this game, the first time, just popped up to my head when I was in the middle of my friends, and we played it together, and all of us really enjoyed. And I said it's good for classroom as
Which game
a.
was that?
And the thing that you showed the photo right now,
Okay, let's
yes.
talk about that in just a moment. I want to talk about my own highlights, if I may, just to be very brief. Yesterday, got some postage done, got some orders sent to Vegard, who's based in Poland. So some people on my shop are still able to buy a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after some mixed noises. But I don't have any copies here. But Vegard still has, I think, just under 200 copies. So those are being sent out. And I think I saw I had like 11 orders, which was fantastic. But only two
Awesome.
of them I have to send out myself, which was like, oh, so I did the posting, I did some work with yeah, the printer that I need to sort out, and I wanted to go to a daytime club. So there's a new club that I found out about that's from like 1 p.m. until 7 p.m. So it's for people who are able to take time off work, I guess, or really don't like going out at night. And honestly, I love dancing and I love being with other people
Yeah, me
and I
too.
love socializing. But for me, being out until like 3 or 4 a.m., I just don't enjoy that. It's too much for me. Like, by normally, if I'm at home, by 10 p.m., I'm getting ready for bed these days. So, and then by midnight, I will actually be asleep. So that is me. So, for that reason, yeah, I'm able to work more on the Sunday and or Saturday and take the Monday off. So, I was, yeah, I'm going to try and get there. It was past 5 o'clock by the time I got there. So there was less than an hour left. But then obviously after it shut, people are kind of hanging around a bit until the person says, by the way, you need to leave until I can go home. And then we go outside and I met a couple of super lovely people. And I think that I'm definitely going to go back next week, make it maybe a regular day off. And that was super lovely. I went into Lidl to do some shopping for my dinner. I was so high on life. Someone asked me if I knew what pate was. They clearly weren't from the UK. And they were like, what is this? And I explained to them the concept of pate, that it's kind of thick, it's very fatty. You put it on bread. I think it's delicious. They said, okay. Look, Sate, it is lovely to see you. Talking of lovely people. Anyway, so like I had a lovely conversation with these Chinese people for like maybe 1 minute, maybe 40 seconds. I don't know, but it felt like a meaningful human interaction. And that's with all the club. And then I came back and just had a dinner. But like it was, for me, that was like just such a positive thing. And I realized that I've been missing that. Going out, not just in board game spaces, because there no one knows what I do. We just know that, hey, we're people and we're, yeah, going to.
Yeah,
So it's.
sometimes we need to do something out of routine.
Mm,
And,
mm,
you
mm,
know, you just, when you were speaking about clubs, I thought that I really missed have, being in club.
mm, mm, mm.
I haven't been for a while, maybe for New Year. We do it.
Because of the pandemic.
Yes, here, I think it's not more than 6 months that clubs are open.
But shall we talk about clubs and why they are a brilliant thing? Brilliant thing. It's a
Oh,
little thing which is brilliant. I mean, I think just going out somewhere and, socializing, being with other people, having that, hey, or just going to have a good time and being there for a common purpose where you can just listen to music, talk a tiny bit, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to have these big, deep conversations. You're just going to have a human interaction, a human connection.
yes, exactly. And it's the thing that I like about clubs. Uh, you can empty your energy there, and for
Hmm.
a few hours, you can empty
Yeah, the
the
act
energy
of
that you're.
movement and acceptance, and it's like it doesn't matter what you look like, you're just dancing away, and yeah.
Yes, that's right. But here is a bit difficult to find a club that you really like because there are clubs and pubs and bars for from each country and from each culture, but most of them are small. And I'd like to be in big places. And big clubs are mostly Thai style. They have tables and chairs. They sit down and sorry, sit down and drink, speak together. But I like a place that you don't sit, just dance and
Mm-mm,
jump,
mm-mm.
shout for a few hours. It's nice. And I'd like to stay up until late, until 3 or 4 a.m. It's nice. Opposite uh, the thing that you said, I really don't like. I think if I sleep early when in during holidays, I waste my time. I waste my holidays. I need to stay up till late. and
Wow.
enjoy my time. Yes,
No,
sometimes
I
no.
was like up at yeah, a bit off maybe 5:30 this morning, just um yeah, looking at stuff and reading articles, but then I got totally disorganized and I apologize for being slightly late. But let's move on to games in schools. We've touched upon this a bit, but back to brilliant things. Why are games in schools a brilliant thing? Why? I mean, I've talked about the fact that they allow students to express themselves. You've talked about how students are feeling a bit maybe unable to ask questions or whatever. What are the other advantages of having a game or showing a game to students?
Uh, in my opinion, games are interesting for children, and most of them enjoy playing games. And it's good that it's the thing that you can attract their attention. You can communicate with them, and they enjoy that. It's good. When you go to classrooms and just speak with them for 50 minutes, for 40 minutes, and you see in their faces after 10 minutes that they get bored. So we need to find some other ways. We play videos for them, we speak with them. They are normally, some of them are shy to speak, some of them don't like to speak, and they like to just have something else. Uh, they don't like to learn and study at all, it's better to say. So I think games are good way. It's a good way to just make the students to speak, especially for these students that they want to learn English, and English is not their native language. It's a practice for them to speak. And there are some games that we all of us, I think, use in the classrooms, and the students have to make something, and they have to follow some rules to express themselves, or just repeat some sentences to practice English. But the things that I normally, because I'm not an English teacher, uh, the games that I play
So,
with
for
them,
context, what do you teach?
social studies.
Mm. And
Yes.
how would you define social studies for those who are like, what does that even mean?
I know I teach different topics, and most of the topics are new to me as well, because lots of them are about their country. And before seeing their book, I had no idea about lots of the topics. So I need to learn by myself, and I need to be prepared. Uh, I take some videos to the class, and I speak shortly for them, because some of the topics are heavy for them, and I just need to introduce those things to them. So I just show some videos, and we have some activity classes that we play some games, and do you know Kahoot and Blue Cat?
S
There's
do you mean Eat Poopy Cat, the one where it's you have a picture and then you describe the picture and then you draw the description and so forth?
no,
I don't know
I don't know
Kahoot.
what it is now. Kahoot is a website. Actually, it's a um, game-based learning style. Uh, you ask questions, and there are multiple choices, and the students need to, not only the students, the player, choose the correct answer. If the answer is correct, it's okay. If not, they will see the correct answer, and later again they will get the same question, and they need to answer. They get point for that.
So it's an online thing where the school needs to pay for it by the looks of the website, and then
Yes.
everyone will be doing it on their own. little computer or tablet?
Yes, that's right. For the best feature, it's better to pay it, but there are some free things that you can use. But there's another thing, Blue Cat. I really love it. It's the theme of it is very nice, and it has some basis. For example, uh, the questions go to a tower defense theme, and the students need to compete each other, and they get points from each other. They need
Sorry, how do you
to
spell
defend.
that? Did you say blue cat?
Blue Cat, Blocket.
Okay.
It's very nice. I use it a lot. It takes time creating question sets, but it's okay. It's worth because uh, my students learn better when they play and practice these questions. Yes, exactly.
So I guess there's a bit of a structure there, and people can see rewards more instantly, see that, hey, I've managed to do this, I've managed to get so far. It's kind of like Duolingo where it um yeah, turns these things, it makes a game out of the learning. Is that what's
Yes,
going on here?
yes, kind of. Yes, they answer questions, and if they answer incorrectly, they will see uh, the correct question and again and again. For example, you run a game with 20 to 30 questions for 20 minutes. I mostly put some questions out of their book, but related to the topic, and some questions from their book. Because if I put all of the questions from the book, it will be boring and too easy for them. It will be short. So, the time that I spent for creating it is just nothing. They played it in a blink, and I can't use it again. But uh, I put some questions out of their book, and it's difficult for them. They need to remember, and they learn more about the topics.
Mm-mm. So you said last week to me that you don't use so many published board games in your classroom. Is that correct?
Yes, for myself, I normally don't play. I don't have time to play with them. But
What?
my colleague, their English teacher, uh, has a big shelf of board games in the office, and he plays with the students in free times, and
Mm.
it's good. Sometimes I join him.
I think it feels like if you're teaching a language, then games, or indeed maths, then games can be more realistically part of that. I mean, there's
Yes,
so
it
many
can
games
be.
that could teach maths, but when you talk about social studies in Bangkok, I'm not sure there's any published board games that could really help, with that subject. I'm not sure. Maybe
Yeah,
someone
I'm
else
not
out
sure.
there can correct me, but I feel like, yeah, that's just a gap in the market. It's like if there was something that was a bit more like, hey, here's a game that's properly about Bangkok. Maybe I need to go to Bangkok and make a game about Bangkok. Maybe that's what I need to, yeah, do.
Actually, it's a thing that I did with my students and the technical school during the summer camp. I told you, I think we made a Bangkok version of Monopoly in
Mm-mm-mm.
three different groups. It was interesting. No, I'd like to create a new game, but it was still
But
interesting.
even there, it feels like, okay, it's got the trappings of the city or the theme, but then the question is, yeah, that doesn't really feel like the mechanics are teaching us anything. Actually, since you brought it up, um, shall we talk about that for a couple of minutes? So this
Yeah.
is, I think, how we first got to know each other, because I think you posted in like Board Game Design Lab or something. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Oh, I don't recognize this name. This is an interesting name. And then I looked at the profile and you said you were in Bangkok on, your profile. I was like, oh wow, hey, I'm going to Bangkok as well. And also, I just love people who are. You spoke about, hey, I've got this opportunity to teach board game design. What would you do? And how would you do it? And I just love that idea because there's not that many people doing it. But for people out there, if I can finish, I'll say what I know and then you can add to the story. So, as I understand it, then because the director wanted to make sure that there were definitely going to be results and that the parents would definitely have something concrete to say, congratulations, my child, you have done a good job. And so that the parents could be proud of their children, they said, well, we're going to prioritize making the physical thing over the learning. I mean, that's a harsh way to put it, but that's the way I understand it. That they said, okay, we're going to do a Bangkok version of Monopoly because we'll definitely be able to finish that, and they can all take home a thing that they sort of made. Is
Yes,
that if is firstly, is there anything I got wrong there?
no, exactly. It's what it was, and it was nice. Exactly. Yeah, we got each other know back then from that game, and I asked the question, and I got tons of great suggestions for that workshop. I really um, loved the answers that came to that questions and used lots of them. I liked it, but I wanted to because back then I was really into designing games, and I like to design a new game and work with the students to create a new thing. Um, but the manager said that it's better to stay in safe side, and especially he wanted to offer this game to the mayor of Bangkok. Uh, so he said that it's a good game for applying this. And in the game, the students recognized some some problems, sorry, some problems that they face in Bangkok, and they had some solutions for that. And they went to the uh, what's that? The chess, two cards that we have in the middle of the game.
Yeah,
I
the
have bad
original version
memory.
calls it community chest and chance.
Exactly, chance and community chess. Uh, so they put some problems and solutions in those two types of cards. It was interesting at all, and it was good for
And
four
was
days.
everyone working on the same thing as a team, or were they in different groups working on multiple versions?
No, in each group, we had 10 students in each week, and um, we gave each of them four slots and four cards to design, and they worked on PowerPoint. It was the easiest way that we found. And beside it, they created the 3D characters by themselves because 3D printing was part of the workshop as well. It was a very busy workshop. We had a toy factory visit during the workshop. So we had a lot of things to do, so we had to finish everything. And the last day of the workshop was assembling. We printed everything out and gave the cards and the slots to the students to assemble, stick them on a board by themselves, because we thought that it would be more interesting for them to create it, not only working with computers. They're young, from their age was from 7 to 10, so we thought that some handworks would be interesting.
It sounds like, I mean, I didn't realize that you ran it multiple times. So it was a 1 week thing, I guess, that it's like 5 days. And then you said you ran it with four different groups
We did it,
and
yeah, in three different groups,
three
3 weeks,
times.
yes.
And so I guess each time you learned a little bit more about what you were doing.
Yes, the first week we couldn't finish it on time, and the first week students were brilliant. They were awesome. Actually, they were so fast. Uh, they had great ideas, but I really was upset that we didn't have experience for the first week. And for the next week, we could do it on time, and everything was managed and prepared. We found out some mistakes that we did, but I wish the first week students were at least in the second week.
Mm.
We could get better results.
Oh, it's always the way that the first time you do something will be the worst, but it's nice that you had the potential to iterate on it. Now, I wonder if we could maybe chat again, like in a couple of months or something, before I stop doing this show to talk maybe more about this or something else and dive more into detail. But before we go away from this, did the mayor of Bangkok look at the results of these 3 weeks and what did the mayor think? Can you tell us?
Actually, I don't know. I didn't ask them. I'm not working with that institute now. Maybe when I see them, I ask them if they had chance because they were so busy. It was summer camp and they had many
Mm-mm.
workshops. My workshop was one of the workshops there, and they were very busy there. And after that, I started a full-time job. Didn't have chance to speak with them after that.
That makes sense. Well, yeah, it might be one of these aspirational things that never happened, but if you find out, I would be really interested to know. Let me
Yes,
know,
for sure.
maybe
I'll let
next
you
week.
know.
But let's maybe go through some of these pictures that you sent and talk through what's going on. So, what is going on these sheets of paper? What was this game?
I know we were four people, four players, and each card is for one player. I asked them to separate the card to four parts in their style, and uh, each of us needed to say something or make a noise, make a gesture, whatever that they want. And the others needed to record it on one part of the car, again in their style, but not completely directly. For example, I told them, don't write the sentence exactly. And after that, uh, we flipped the cards and mixed them, picked one card, and first we had to guess whose the card is. It was interesting to know who drew it. I was
Mm.
among the players, and they couldn't believe that I drew it. They thought that I drew in childish style, and I didn't want to be really obvious. It's interesting. And
Which
after that,
one
they
was
had to
yours?
guess.
Was
Um,
it
can you guess which one is
was
mine?
it the top right one?
No, uh,
Okay, the
left
bottom left.
bottom. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Yes,
So
and after that, we guessed which one is related to which sentence or gesture or whatever.
okay, so it's a game about trying to A, understand how other people draw, and B, about trying to understand what's going on through their mind. So this wasn't something where you have scoring, but it's something about communication and testing yourself. And yeah,
And
some
just
people.
enjoying time, yes. No, uh, this is the idea of another game that I was working on uh, because it needed a lot of drawing. Uh, I didn't work on it yet. Uh, I just have some basic ideas, and I wanted to test it in basic levels before I go to drawing. I did it once with my friends, and they liked it and they found it interesting. They asked me to publish it actually somehow. I said no, I just want to play it with my students. And I took it to two classes, but in small groups, and we played. They enjoyed. They liked the game, and especially the second group that I played with them today. They were really interested uh, didn't when they couldn't recognize their friends' cards, and it was nice at all.
Yeah, it sounds like a nice way to communicate with others. And I think that it's interesting because more recently I've seen a few more games that lie out with the scope of Board Game Geek that are conversational games, games about asking each other questions, um, games about just recognizing things for what they are, but without any scoring. And I think that there's definitely an interesting space to explore with these kinds of games. But what's going on in this picture?
Oh, it's a game that their English teacher gave me, and he suggested me to play this. I found this one interesting as well. Um, you put two or three sentences at all, and for the third number, they say, "Do you know hop game?" You say what the first student says one, the second says two, the third needs to say, for example, hop. In this game, the third one needs to say I love, and when it goes to the fourth one, it should be school food. So
Mm,
yeah, so the numbers
okay.
that can be divided by three, all of them can go for I love, and all of the numbers can be divided by four, can go for school food, and all the numbers can be divided, and six can go for marching. And for example, 12 uh, includes all of them, 3 and 4 and 16. So it makes a proper sentence.
Yeah. And I've heard about Fizzbuzz. Um, and yeah, with Fizzbuzz, it's not just the multiples, but also anything containing that number. So, and I think there's also Fizzbuzz Bang. I can't remember which numbers it is, but the point is that you any number which contains not just is a multiple of three, but contains the digits three, you would also say buzz for example. And then when you get to the 30s, you would say buzz, 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 bang, fizz, buzz, bang, and so forth, which is quite silly. But
Sounds interesting. Yeah. Note it down to check it later.
um,
This book.
talking about scoring, Bodhi also mentions I've never used scoring when we play Wavelength because it doesn't feel necessary to enjoy the process. And that's a really interesting commentary on, the process of scoring because, I mean, Rory's story cubes is is that within the scope of Board Game Geek? Like, it's arguable, and frankly, I've made something that it's probably arguable whether it's in the scope of Board Game Geek or not. But yeah, it's illustrations. I mean, how many people honestly play with the scoring system for illustrations? There is a scoring system there if you want it, but I would hypothesize that if I had to guess, I'm going to guess like 99% of people literally have never used the scoring system, and maybe small fraction of those other people, like myself, are like, oh, there's a scoring system. Well, I'm curious to try it, but I know it will probably be worse, and I can't. not sure I want to waste other people's time with that. And so, yeah, it's about finding the heart of what the game's about. And not everything needs to be a competitive game where you rank people against one another. And I think it's actually really interesting when it's with students. Maybe it's even better if there's no sense of, oh, this person did better than the others, because otherwise, the brighter student, sure, they get a chance to shine, but everyone else kind of feels, oh, I only scored 2 points and everyone else scored like at least 5 points. I mean, that's a sad moment, right? And so, or even like if someone scores zero, that's going to be really horrible for that child. And then that's the kind of thing that you could imagine. I don't know how Bangkok children are. I imagine them being a little bit more polite than British children. But over here, that's the kind of thing that you would get teased for. To say, ah, you only got 0 points on that thing. You're an idiot. Ha ha ha. And
No,
so,
here they
yeah,
support each other, they help each other.
yeah,
It's
by
good.
making it more of an experiential thing, by making it more of an activity, by worst case scenario, if there is any competition, having that be a cooperative form of competition where you're just presumably trying to get as high as you possibly can without making a mistake, then you, yeah, foster a better classroom environment, I dare to say. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
What?
it's good. Yes.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
No, nothing. I just wanted to say that's correct. And there, there are some things that let the student to enjoy meanwhile they practice English.
Mm-mm. So we've talked about a few games that have worked well for you. Are there, and we've talked about why using games at all. Are there any stories of something that went badly and saying, hey, I wanted to use this game, but I tried it and it went badly, or yeah, that was the wrong scenario, whatever.
Yeah, no, there are lots of things that when I apply in the classrooms, the students don't understand at all what it is. And because of that, we cannot continue. And it's my personality to uh, do something spontaneously. And uh, once I went to the activity classrooms because I have two periods in a week, and I take one of the classes for lessons, the other for activities. I went to activity classes and said, okay, what to do? Just made a game and explained to the students. All of them freezed and they had nothing to say. They couldn't continue that. And I said, okay,
So
it's better to go back to Bluecat.
it was kind of asking too much of them. So it sounds like when you ask for the students to be creative, you need to be careful with giving them enough guidelines. Is that what the lesson was there?
Exactly, exactly. When you ask them to do new things, you need to be really careful because most of them uh, don't like to be in stress and maybe they need sometimes. Um, no, sometimes I think from my side, but I should put myself in their shoes and uh, think from their side and know when they are asked to do things, uh, maybe they get nervous. So to me, the game was so simple. I told them that you say a sentence. It just popped to my mind when I started the class. I took them to another room out of their classroom and I said, okay, what to do? And I said, okay, say a sentence. Really, it is what happened. I wanted to do something different. I said, say a sentence and gave them an example and said, the person that is sitting next to you needs to make another sentence that has at least one word uh, from your sentence.
Okay.
And they didn't get it at all. I gave them two examples. They couldn't do it. I said, okay. We just played, look at the thing that we played before with them with the same questions, but they enjoyed that one more.
I mean, that's interesting. Like, I understand the concept of what you are saying. Um, I wonder if putting more restrictions on it might offer more guidance. Like if you said the last word needs to be the first word, because even though it sounds, oh wow, that's more restrictive, at least now if you've got to five, let's say your sentence is, I like spending time with Faranak. I like spending time with. So then that's 6 words, and then it's like, wow, where do I even start? But if you say the last word needs to be the first word, and sorry, now I need to talk about you more. It's like going to be okay. The first word has to be Faranak, so I would say Faranak is right over there, and then the person would say, okay, there is a shirt on the chair, and so by having it
Exactly.
be more restrictive, I think it could actually maybe help the students. But it
Yeah.
definitely, I guess the other thing it reminds us is that, yeah, especially with students, it's important to really ponder all these things through and maybe, but at the same time, don't be discouraged. And presumably, there's no harm in trying something new like that.
Yes, maybe I try it another time uh, with them, but I think they found it a bit difficult. Some of them
Mm.
can't speak English, and it's difficult for them to make a proper sentence at all. Maybe it was the difficult part. Uh, but I'd like to try it at least once. I teach year 7 and year 8. I tried it with grade 7. So maybe next time I try it with year 8 and see how it goes.
Maybe the last word becoming the first word. But
Maybe.
the other question that I had, which yeah, what else do you need to consider? Yeah, what goes in your mind when you think about why am I using games, what their purpose is, and what games to use? What do you consider, if you know what I mean?
Mm, about the games, you mean? The
Yeah,
classrooms at
about the
all?
choice of games that you're playing. How do you
Uh,
decide if a game is the right thing for that classroom?
I mostly consider their age and the total atmosphere of the classes. Some classes are very active, some of them are very quiet, some of them are talkative, and controlling the class is difficult. Really, the classes are very different. And in some classes, you cannot launch any games at all because it will be chaos at the end. So the only things that we can do is videos. But for games, uh, I have a couple of students that they design games by themselves, and it's very interesting. Uh, Once I found one of them testing his game with a friend, and his friend was so, he wasn't patient enough to follow him, but was sitting there to just testing the game and playing game with him. And when I saw him uh, testing game out of the class in the free time, I found it really interesting. And I spoke with him. He didn't want to speak about designing games. I said, it's the problem. They don't like to speak. Maybe uh, they are shy. I don't know why. I just
Is is it
joined this
an issue
school.
to do with a feeling of self-worth? Like they don't feel like they have enough to contribute? Like they're feeling, oh, I'm.
It can be actually. I don't know. I need to learn more about them. Uh, this age group is new to me, and I need to test different things. And I speak with the others, but people follow different ways, and they have people have different ways to teach, to control the classes, to communicate with the students. So I need to find a proper way to communicate with them.
No, it's really interesting speaking about all of this, and maybe one day, you know, depending on, well, I guess it'll be possible to take public transport and stuff. If you're still working in that particular classroom when I arrive, it would be interesting to come over and maybe come in for a day visit to say, hello, this is me and this is what I do. And if
Sure.
you're still teaching anyone who's interested in making games,
Yes.
or me to get to know them and them to learn from me. It has been a lovely chat, and I've asked you lots of things. Now is the time for you to ask me something, whatever you would like. You can ask the question of the day. Question of the day. Here's a little question before we go on our way. What would you like to ask, Faranak?
Okay. If you were a teacher in Bangkok, no, it's very possible to be a teacher in Bangkok, even you visit here for a month. What would you do? What games would you play in your classrooms with the students?
What am I teaching?
Any subject. English.
English. Okay. If I'm teaching English, I want to have word. Um, I want to have something to do with language. That means that English is great. It means that I can play games all day, basically, because as I definitely take my own deck of cards, the L deck, and we would play Wibble and Micro Muckle and Mini Muckle. Um, I think that we might do something similar to Just One, if you know that game, but rather than saying if there's so in Just One you have words that one person has to guess, and everyone else can write down one clue, just one, just one word. But if there's more than one person with exactly the same clue, then it, those duplicates get removed, if that makes sense. And I think that if you had a really big classroom, it might get a bit too slow, and maybe might be worth trying it with, okay, more than two duplicates, then it gets removed. So you allow two, but three is too many, depending on the size of the class. But I think that would definitely be interesting. I think I would also try to get everyone to play Words on Stream, because if people have technology and computers, that's a nice thing that they could do cooperatively, where everyone's doing it frantically and people can feel happy that they managed to find a word. Um,
It's possible, yes.
I think that you definitely want something where either you're needing to give instructions to other people, because I know someone played Pandemic with the children who were learning English, but presumably their English and their game awareness was fairly advanced if they were playing Pandemic, and then said, if you I'm going to make you lose a point if you like. I'm going to increase the um, breakout tracker if you speak a language that's not English. And then they put it on. They say, "Okay, I'll give you one chance," and then they move it back. So they say, "But if you do it again," and then they all spoke English with all their communication. I think something where actually I think that some of my things I'm going to say, yeah, I would probably just the truth is, I'd probably just end up designing more things, and yeah, a game about setting scenarios for that people would do for different lengths of time seems like a really good one. I mean, the truth is, when I go to Thailand for the first time, I'm probably not going to take that many games with me. I'll take a bunch of my own, but I mean, I'm thinking I'll probably try and fit everything within one
Yes.
suitcase and then, stay for a few months and Airbnb until I work out, it's okay, this is actually definitely where I want to live. And then if I want to bring stuff over, then, bring stuff over. I don't know. But yeah, I think that for people out there, is there something that you think, oh, that would be a really good game? And I've talked about a couple of interesting things. I think that Telestrations might actually be a really good game where you draw a picture, next person has to describe it, next person draws a picture based on this description, next person draws a picture based on that description. So you never see the whole chain, you only see the person before you in the flip book, and then eventually at the end you see that the phrase has totally changed to something totally different. So it's quite fun, and everyone can have their own flip book going round. So I
Yeah,
think
it's interesting.
I would possibly be tempted if I could, like, I'm not saying that I would actually take illustrations with me to Bangkok, but maybe I could find some other flip books, something to substitute it with. Or if I found a copy there, then I'd, you know, consider buying it. Although, again, maybe the number of students might make it cost prohibitive. I don't know. It's because I guess it's classrooms of like 30 students.
30ish, yeah.
I mean, you could definitely still have good games, but yeah, that's the real challenge, isn't it? Something that everyone can get involved with.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
So,
it's interesting. I wrote it down the games that you mentioned to just have a look and choose if I can.
well, for my self-published things, I'll show you them when you're there, but also, yeah, a game about setting scenarios that people do for different lengths of time. You can check on Board Game Geek, I check, guess, but over to you. What are you up to? You can share
Okay,
possibly if you want
awesome.
to. So, what are you up to today? I am going to. Oof, it is definitely still a bit cold. There's still snow outside, but I'm still going to wrap up
Wow.
warm and head out at least for some point of today. I might have a friend coming over or might not. I don't know. It depends on the railroad because there might be strikes or there might be disruptions because of the weather, because of the snow. Um, I'm thinking I might make myself a bit of rice, open up a tin, and yeah, have something easy but filling for lunch. I'm going to do a bit of admin, yeah, just working out spreadsheets, sending stuff that I should have sent before, um, yeah, checking that everything is prepared for me to go to Nuremberg and everything. So there's a lot of work that ideally I would have done months before, but I'm going to try and get as much of that admin done today as I can. That's basically what I'm up to. How about you, Faranak?
It's
Or
awesome.
what are you going to do before you go to sleep?
Oh, every week, every Tuesday, I have meeting. So after this chat, I will have a meeting again, and it's getting dark. Actually, I'm enjoying the nice sunset now. Uh, and after that, it's okay. Maybe if I'm in the mood of playing, I play game. I play video game for an hour or 2 hours and just go to bed.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful night. And
Thank you.
though I didn't take any notes today, let's recap and wrap up before we finish up. We talked about quite a bunch of things. We talked about clubs are brilliant. The joy of playing a two-player cooperative game with your partner. We talked briefly about Kahoot and Blueket and all of the different games that activities, whatever you want to call them, with just bringing joy to people and bringing people together, guess trying to think about what other people are thinking. I thought this was especially lovely thing, that thinking about what other people are thinking, and something like broken telephone um, is a really nice idea. Um, I think that we chatted a little bit about making board games, repeating a design group for 3 weeks, and then thinking, that would be better. Maybe it went to the mayor, maybe it didn't. But either way, at least those children were able to take something home for two-thirds of them that their parents said, good work, child, you have done something. But we talked about sometimes children getting confused. Think about what's the atmosphere of the class and making sure that whatever you present them with matters. And I think it's this kind of curation and thinking about your audience that's really at the heart of any design thinking. Whether you're a teacher or a performer, or you're designing or writing or painting for an audience, whatever you do, I think it's always worth checking out things. And then I talked about a few other games. Is there anything else that you want to say?
It was an awesome chat. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed. I'd like to speak with you later.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. It was an absolute delight. If people want to check me out, then hopefully they know at this point that I am stuffed by bed in all of the places. And if you want to check out Faranak, then you can go to Instagram where you will find some beautiful paintings. Not this one, but like this one potentially. So
Yeah,
you
I
can go
just
to.
do it for our chat last week.
Yes, felt very honored. Thank you. That's part of the reason that I showed it again.
Thank you. It's nice of you.
And if you want to check out stuffbybed.com/streams, tomorrow I'm chatting to Alan Paul about a type of auction. Thursday I'm going to talk about with Kirsten Linde, who, the winner of the LDEC design contest, which um, with Questable, and talking about what that experience was like. And you can get a bit of ideas of forthcoming stuff, and also my own personal public. I don't know whether to call it public appearances because Nuremberg Toy Fair isn't exactly public, but you get an idea that well, you my board game related appearances and travel, I guess you could say, will be on that stream. Share, spread the word. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to Xate and Bodhi for popping in and saying hello, and for all the lovely comments. Most importantly, thank you, Faranak Khanmohammadi. It was an absolute pleasure. And the only thing left to say is bye, 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 bye. This is goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you
Goodbye.
for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye,
Bye bye.
everyone.